Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to the garden on a beautiful spring day. I guess you can see in my back it's absolutely glorious again. We literally just had that one day, remember in the last video where I did the stone etching together with you and I showed you how it looked over the farmland. That was scary. Honestly, the second I ended the video, I could see the fog coming closer and closer. And by the time that I just put all of my tools back here into the garden shed, the fog really reached the bottom layer of a slope. And within, I would say, 20-25 minutes, it was even here in the upper garden. So at one point before sunset, when I was inside the house, I could barely see the pear tree at the end of a garden. We were smothered in fog. It was beautiful, but it was one of those moments where you're like, yeah, I'm happy to be indoors now in front of a fireplace. But I can tell you what makes me even more happy is that the temperatures are so lovely and warm again. You could even tell here the furniture is out again. So I could have lunch breaks out on the terrace at the moment, which is beautiful. Like yesterday was so nice and warm and toasty, I almost fell asleep there. And I think all of you know exactly that feeling. When you have these first warm days in the garden, on your terrace, even on your balcony, it doesn't matter, where you can finally sit outside again and you're kind of like, oh, this is so good after winter. And that was exactly what happened in the past 2 days. I can work in the garden without wearing a winter jacket and it's just amazing. That's all it is basically. Yes, I've been working a little bit in the garden, but I've been doing things that would have been repetitive if I would have made a film out of that. Because, for example, I redefined a stone edge. I've been working a little bit on the slope. And what I want to do by the end of today's video is I just quickly want to show you what I actually did so you know what is going on here in the garden. But those were things, again, where I feel like I do it and it is for a better visual impact of a garden. But it's one of those things, you know, I've been showing videos where I remove turf. I've been like moving dirt and soil from A to B in the garden, putting stone edges in. And I'm longing to share something with you that has like instant drama and impact. And what is better than putting some lovely spring plants in pots exactly here in front of the garden shed, because this is a focal point of the garden. This really sits in the center of the garden. We get to see this area every single time we come home, get to see it from the house, from the kitchen, when we are here on the terrace. And so far I've got like 2 Christmas trees standing here. You might remember I put the one that was just at the main entrance of the house next to the garden shed, so pretty much where you are standing now if you'd be talking to me. And they're still there and I want to keep them there because I really love the look, but I think it could be better if there would be just some joy and some spring colour and some spring blooms, and that's exactly what I want to do with you. I went to the garden centre more than once because I had something in mind and I was hoping to find it, and eventually I did in the end. So I'm super excited to share in a second with you what I actually found. First thing I want to do though is obviously flip the phone, talk you through the area, how it looks at the moment, what I want to do, and then I'm going to show you everything that I found. So I'm excited about today's video. I hope you are as well. This is difficult to film because there are massive sun flares right now because the sun is just coming from the back, but this is the garden shed and you can tell it really sits pretty much in the center of the garden. There is the island bed and I left everything exactly how I left it the last time you saw it. So there's still like one lantern standing here and there are like Christmas trees. Now comes the sunflower on both sides of the garden shed and I really love the look. I think it has something whimsical, kind of like woodland-esque in a way, which I really enjoy. But in terms of plants, there is not too much going on. So I have this really beautiful basket weave pot here with 2 eucharis inside that I'm definitely going to keep exactly as it is, and a hydrangea paniculata. Very wonderful. I was just checking the other day how this feels. You can always check it quite easily how your shrubs are doing by just bending it a little bit, and it's flexible, which is a good sign. So if it would snap, then you know this is a dead branch, but nothing happens. You can see first buds appearing, which is good. And the ultimate test that you can do to see if any kind of hardwood still has life in it, you would just rub off a little bit of the bark and you can tell it's green. And when it's green, that is good because then it is fresh and the juices are running. If this would be like brown, then you know, whoop, that is dead and not good. But the hydrangea definitely made it through winter in its pot, so I'm very happy about it. And then I just really got like small last things. I mean, beautiful, but I mean, this is so Christmassy. This needs to find another home where I just store it for the time being, basically. Lantern, also something needs to happen here as well. And then I've got like, oh my, there is a hellebore. But it has a lot of nice fresh green shoots appearing from the base of the plant. So what I'm going to do is cut back all of the old leaves. All of them will go because they're no good at all, so that all the sun can basically come into the center of the plant. And I'm not sure if I will leave it in here or if I would just like put it somewhere in the landscape. I need to see. 2 violas, but I think Oh, well, they're still clinging to life, but they're not looking that great. I just put them maybe somewhere on the slope, I think. And then I just need to clean basically the area a little bit. You see there's like some grass growing in here and some weeds, and it definitely needs to be like a little, yeah, there needs to be a little bit of a clean here. There's not really nice lawn in front of it anyways. The thing with this area is that it gets a lot of shade from the garden shed throughout the entire day, not the entire day, but well, it has like sun on this side here in the morning, and then in the afternoon more towards this side here. So I can put something that flowers there, but I need to have an eye on it. If the plants are not happy, then I need to remove them, obviously. But this is the situation, and I'm super excited to see what I'm going to do with this area. Before I show you the plants, I just quickly need to show you who enjoys life in the sun as well. Are you happy, Alfie? Are you happy? Yes? Oh, you are right. You love to be in the sun. Alfie's definitely enjoying herself there on the terrace now. She's just observing me, basically kind of dozing off a little bit. Or I don't know, maybe dreaming of chasing neighbors' cats or food, or oh, it's food. The walnuts, you know, we have 2 big walnut trees here in the garden, and I try to collect as many as possible, but obviously I can't. It's like impossible to do that. And now's the time of the year when the walnuts that are still on the ground, they start open up naturally, and Alfie comes in because now they're easy to open for her, and she starts munching on them. So this is like one of her preferred snacks. Luckily, she's like running through the garden like crazy, basically. So I'm not kind of like worried that it's going to be like a weight issue at one point, but she's definitely feasting on those walnuts, I can tell you. What I did now already is I prepared all of the plants just there underneath the walnut tree, speaking of it, because the outdoor dinner table is already out, and I thought, oh, this is just a nice area to show you what I actually found and talk you through. I'm just loving those colors. I hope you agree. This is everything that I need for today's project. So I've got my wheelbarrow here with soil and starting fertilizer in there. And then I obviously got pots already here, some of which already have some soil in there that I've just prepared the other day. I've got 2 moss containers already that I prepared. And just in case if you haven't seen my previous video where I make moss containers, I try to remember to link it down to this video because they're really beautiful. They give this whimsical look, especially with frost. They were absolutely glorious to look at. And moss obviously likes to thrive in shade, so this will be ideal in front of the garden shed. So what else do I have? I've got a bucket here full with wood chips, and what I did actually, maybe a little tedious, but I like to cover the pots with nice looking wood chips. So I went through the garden and collected only the nice good looking sizes out of the flower bed, so I have only nice ones to cover the pots with. And then I've got a second bucket, just with some tools basically. So I've got like 2 pairs of shovels, a normal one, my potting shovel, my kneeling pad, pair of scissors in there. All there is, nothing fancy, and the plants obviously. So I have 3 different kind of plants, and I'm really excited about that. First one, Hellebores. I mean, still steen sealer of the season obviously. And I have 4 plants in total. I think I will use 2 here and 2 in another potting project. But just look at these absolutely beautiful flowers. Aren't they just the most wonderful thing that you've seen? And how they are aging as well. I mean, they start in this rather beautiful, delicate blush tone, darker towards the outline, chartreuse in the center, and as they age and fade out, they go more greenish. I think this is just such a beautiful look within one plant, and absolutely loving it. Also how long these stems are topped by these very delicate, whimsical kind of bell-shaped flowers. Loving it. Here you can tell they're full with pollen still, and there are bumblebees and bees already coming to them. There is a label, but I checked and I can tell you the label has nothing to do with this variety, because the label says Hellebores niger, as it is on the label. That is Hellebores niger, and this is anything but Hellebores niger. So I wish I could tell you what variety it is. I can't. I can just tell you it is a beautiful variety. Then I've got a box sphere. I always love to mix in like these elements of formality or something that, yeah, like a tiny topiary piece maybe. And that was something from the garden center in the hardware store where I couldn't resist. And then this excites me almost the most. Pansies, yes, but pink pansies. I've seen a lot of people on Instagram sharing that they bought pink pansies, and I also wanted to have them because I just love them, and they're so difficult to get my hands on. The garden center didn't carry them, drove to 3 different ones, and then somebody on Instagram told me that she bought them in a German hardware store, and I was like, well, we have the same here. I went, and there I go. I managed to get my hands on 2 flats, and aren't these just wonderful, with a dark center, very pale on the outside. What I don't mind though It is a mixed color blend in one of these patches, so there are some darker ones in here as well. But I think it is a nice melange effect if you just put them all together, and especially in combination with the hellebores, I think color-wise this is rather beautiful. Most of the pots are in position, and I even found this really wonderful outdoor light chain that I could put there, two of them. They're run by battery. Obviously, by the end of the video, I'm going to give you a closer look at everything. And obviously, whenever I start talking, I swear, it really has to do with me sitting down and starting talking. Alfie thinks now it's time to play. I think I kind of taught her quite well that this is the moment when she can come in. And the problem is I cannot resist, but you don't want to give me your stick. So this is not how it works. You know that, right? Do you know that? You're happy? You're happy? Oh, come on. Whew, there you go. I just quickly want to talk you through a little bit on how I do pot things up. I've done a couple of videos, and I'm not going to do a long story about it because I will link another video just down below here in case if you haven't seen it before. Just one thing I want to mention is how I do work with pots, and I think this year mainly is. In the previous years, I always put like different kind of plants in one pot. So I try to have like a center one and something around it, or like 2-3 different things. And I feel this year really arranging these pot gardens, I do follow a different strategy of utilizing less plants and then the same variety in different pots, but only use one variety of plant in one pot. Obviously, I have the urn next to the terrace, and I think that is the only one that I will treat a little different. But so far, I'm very happy with the result and the look on how it looks when you really can arrange these pots and you have this big impact just in one pot. And this is exactly what I'm going to do with this one as well. I still have an entire flat full of absolutely beautiful pansies here. I don't think I will use all of them here, so probably I still need to find another pot, which is an ideal. What I did is I already prepared the pot actually. Always remember when you plant something in a pot that you put a crock or something at the base, because you always have the hole at the base. So when you water it, the soil does not get washed out easily. I already put some soil in here, mix it with a little bit of sand actually in this one as well. And now just some organic bone chips as always. This is kind of like my fertilizer that I like to use. Mix it under. And these pansies, they come in a flat and they have a quite small root ball, to be fair, but that doesn't matter. Pansies, they really root in well, and I checked them in the stores and they have a very nice root system. They were even coming out at the base of the pot. So all I do now is just come in, plant them dead level in the pot all the way around, and once I've done that, I come in with my wood chips, so the lovely bigger ones, and I'm going to show you in a moment a closer look why I use nice ones here, because when you just put random mulch on top of it, probably it looks nice as well, but they are kind of like center stage in a way. And this is a little bit of staging, I think, which is a special thing when you do these pot gardens. So I really try and make sure that even the smallest details are like nice, and you might not pay attention necessarily to it and say like, oh, the mulch is so lovely on it, but if it's not so lovely, you might see it. And I think these are just these small things that you might want to pay attention to. So all I'm going to do now is plant these last pot full of lovely pansies, and then I show you the final result. What do you think? I'm really happy with the result because I always love when the garden shed is kind of nestled in the landscape. As I said on multiple times before in my other videos, really happy about these 2 Christmas trees there. I think they just help amongst all of this like brown debris that is going on still here. I suppose it's got to be like probably another 3 to 4 weeks before there's going to be fresh growth and leaves coming. But even more so important to really have some cheerful pots here. And aren't they just beautiful? As I said, I really made the decision 1 specimen per pot. So I've got these absolutely beautiful pansies here, and I couldn't be happier with them, with the variegation, beautiful pink tones. So very happy with those, obviously. And then these hellebores, and let me tell you, these hellebores, they were quite a bargain price. 1 plant was not even 10 euros. So I got my hand on 4 of them, and in the end I used all 4 in this area, and I'm already thinking going to the garden centre, fingers crossed I find more of those, because I hope you get to see it even with a sun flare. But at this time of the day, when the sun is in the afternoon coming from west-south, it's just piercing through this area here. And I feel those hellebores, they look so wonderful, like you really get to enjoy those colours and blooms. And what I've done as well is, not only have I put the pots in front of the garden shed, I also made the decision to put 2 of them, actually 3, into the border. And I think by doing that, you make sure that it's not so separate. You know, it doesn't feel like, oh, there's a pot garden in front of the garden shed, and then there's suddenly your border. You just make this organic transition, and I think this is just a nice thing to do. And on top of it, I also have like flowers in here, but because they are in this pot, they also elevate it, so I also get to enjoy them more, sometimes to how they are when they're planted in the landscape. What I did to the pot in the basket weave though, the basket weave pot, is I put it onto 2 stones, because obviously I don't want to put it on the ground. I don't want that one rots. That was it for the planting part of today's video, and I hope you enjoyed the outcome as much as I do, because I just had a lunch break on the upper terrace, sitting there in the full afternoon sun, which is beautiful. And now the sun is really piercing through the entire back of the garden. I could tell you the hellebores in those pots with the sun coming from behind them is just absolutely wonderful. A great look. Couldn't be happier with that. What I want to do now is what I've already announced at the beginning of the video. I want to flip the phone and quickly show you those things that I did in the past 2 days, so at least you know what happened in the garden. The first thing I did basically is that I made the entire edging on this side of the island bed new, because it was just not looking nice. It was really wonky. It was kind of like going in a straight line, then it was going outwards, inwards. It was just not a nice look. So I've taken out all the stones and then put them back in a new, nicer shape. There were areas where the stones are pretty much in the same angle to what they were. There are areas where I went out a little further, like I think here, for example, it was just like maybe 10-15 centimeters further outwards. So I removed a little bit of the turf, but not a lot, just in order to really have a nice, beautiful curve. And honestly, I appreciate it so much now. It's just one of those things when, you know, when it looks nice, you don't really recognize it, but when it does not look nice, you recognize it immediately. So all the stone edging is brand new in here. The next thing that I did is I'll take you with me to the back of the garden, to the slope. So clearly I still haven't planted the lovely yew sphere. This is going to come in another video. I think I'm really going to make a video out of that, obviously, but very, very exciting. I'm just going to show you first. Let's see if you see the difference. You might recognize all of this here and all of that. And then just look down there. I've leveled out the entire bottom layer. Oh, that was lovely. Honestly, now it really feels kind of complete in a way. And there were 2 hazels in there, like kind of growing somewhere here. So I spent at least a good 2.5 to 3 hours to get these hazels completely out, which I've done. There's just 1 elder back there, but I thought, you know what, it's just 1. It's in the back, I can cut it back hard. So that doesn't really worry me a lot, but I'm so happy with it. I also mulched a little bit here, so there is kind of like a pathway now. So I can finally kind of walk in these areas here, and it all starts to be a little more defined in a way. I've got my steps leading upwards to the raised bed. That one is ready for planting, sowing, doing something with them. And just look at that. It's a sun flare, I know, but the weather is absolutely amazing. You guys, that is it for today's video, and guess who wants to say bye as well? Hello. Do you want to say bye? I think you want something different. Ah, she has a stick now. Can you believe it? She's so fast now. She's not like the puppy that she used to be. I can't even fool her anymore as easily now. Here is a stick. Yeah, shall we play? Arthie behaved really good today, I have to say. She was so patient with me, but now she's kind of like, okay, you spend too much time in these boring pots, so please play with me. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. It's a wonderful late afternoon and the perfect time to just really relax a little bit in the sun, play with sticks with Alfie. And that's what I'm going to do, obviously, now. I hope you have fun with today's video. Obviously, I love to share projects like these because you know how it is. As a gardener, when it comes to planting, this is the most fun and exciting thing you could possibly do in a garden. But I have to say and really admit, those jobs that I really disliked 5-6 years ago, something like removing turf, for example, putting stone edges, and I really hated that a couple of years ago, I find in a weird way, great pleasure in it now. I hope the momentum stays like that, because most of the edges look good now, but obviously there's always room to develop something or change something. All projects are going to come in the future. I think for this year, I have all the things that I want to do mapped out, and I know what I want to do. I can just say thank you so much for watching today's video. Obviously also thank you for subscribing to my channel. I also linked down, I hope to remember to link down those 2 videos that I mentioned before, and I also linked down the my Instagram account. So if you feel like it, just visit, say hi, I'd be very happy. Up until then guys, have a wonderful day, take care, bye.